Hey everyone, and welcome back. I bet a lot of you listening are probably getting ready for those real-world situations where you need to use your English, like really use it confidently, right?
For sure.
So we're talking things like job interviews and traveling to a new country.
Oh, absolutely.
And even those high-stakes business meetings. And, you might not be facing all three of these right now, but the thing is, the skills you need for them, they overlap a lot more than you might think.
Yeah, I agree.
Good communication, it's valuable everywhere, honestly.
What's really cool is all of our source material this week. It really emphasizes that idea of strategic communication, basically how to present yourself in a way that, really highlights your strengths and helps you achieve your goals no matter what situation you're in.
I like that. So let's break that down.
Okay.
Let's start with job interviews.
Right.
Because I think we've all been there, right? Like those nerves before a big interview, that feeling of, okay, I gotta nail this.
Totally. And actually, our source material starts with this character, Alex, who's dealing with those exact pre-interview jitters.
Oh, poor guy.
But luckily, he has his friend Sophia, who's kind of an English whiz, to help him prepare.
I wish we all had a Sophia.
Right. So that dreaded question, tell me about yourself.
Oh, don't remind me. I hate that question.
It's the worst. But the source material gives this really great framework. So instead of just listing facts about yourself, you should start with a clear, concise statement of your current role and your skills, then highlight like a key achievement using numbers or impact. It's all about making a strong first impression, right off the bat.
Okay, so like not just what you did, but how well you did it.
Exactly. You're telling a story of your competence and your value.
Okay, so I need an example.
All right. So instead of saying, I have experience working as a sales executive, learn to say something like, I'm a recent business administration graduate with experience in sales where I improved client retention by 20%.
Oh, wow.
It's the same information.
It is.
But presented in a way that grabs their attention and emphasizes the results,
Huge.
And this goes beyond job interviews too, by the way. Think about networking events, even just meeting someone new. Being able to articulate your value clearly and concisely like that. It's a skill that just pays off again and again.
That's so true. Okay, so let's look at another common interview question. Why do you want to work for our company?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people really stumble over this one.
Well, the source material shows Alex initially just joking, because I need a job.
Oh, Alex.
Which, hey, we've all been there.
We have.
But it's not exactly gonna wow a hiring manager.
I can already picture them rolling their eyes.
Right. But Sophia, she encourages him to really connect his skills and his passions to the company's goals.
Okay.
So he ends up with a much stronger response like, I really admire your company's customer-first approach, and I believe my experience in sales would contribute to increasing client engagement and sales growth. Oh, that's so much better. That shift from just needing a job to showcasing his passion for that specific company, that's huge. Do you think people underestimate how much that matters?
I think so, yeah. It's about aligning your goals with theirs, showing you've done your research and you're genuinely interested in what they do.
Okay, so we've got some strategies for nailing those interview questions, but what about, let's say, you land that dream job and it involves traveling to a country where you don't speak the language?
Oh, yeah.
That classic combo of being excited to explore a new place, but also slightly panicking, like, wait, how do I even order a coffee?
The source material had a good point about that, though, saying that even if your grammar isn't perfect, confidence and clarity matter more.
It's true. Like, people can tell when you're genuinely trying to communicate, and they're usually willing to help you out.
Yeah, for sure. And from those basic phrases you can start building, think about the situations you're most likely to be in.
Like at the airport?
The airport?
Yeah.
Checking into your hotel, asking for directions. Oh, and our source material actually gives examples for those. So like at the airport, you might need, I'd like to check in for my flight too. Or is there an extra charge for additional baggage?
Yeah. Or if you're trying to find your way around, could you tell me how to get to pick? We'll usually do the trick. And, if you throw in a please and a thank you, you're golden.
It's the little things, right? Okay, so we've tackled job interviews. We've talked about surviving those first few hours in a new country. Feeling pretty accomplished.
I know, right?
But hold on, because now we got to level up. It's business meeting time.
Here we go.
All right, so from backpacking through Europe to boardroom negotiations, the stakes here feel higher, wouldn't you say?
They do.
The language is more formal, the cultural nuances are way trickier. How does our source material help us with this?
Well, it gives this really helpful structure for approaching these meetings. It breaks it down into stages like opening introductions, presenting your ideas, agreeing or disagreeing respectfully, asking for clarification when you need to, and concluding the meeting gracefully.
Okay, so it's like having a roadmap for the whole conversation, which I think can be really reassuring when you're in a high-pressure situation.
For sure.
But what about the actual language we use?
Right.
Are there any specific phrases that stand out as good examples?
Oh, definitely. So the source material points out phrases that strike that balance between being professional but also approachable.
Okay.
Like, for instance, when you're presenting an idea, instead of just bluntly saying, "We should do this,"
Right.
you could say something like, "I'd like to suggest," or "In my opinion, we should consider."
Oh, that's good.
It softens the tone a little
It does.
and makes you sound more collaborative. And on the flip side, when you disagree with someone, instead of a flat, "No, I don't agree,"
Yeah.
you could say, "I see your point, but I think we should also consider."
About keeping things respectful.
Exactly. Maintaining that collaborative spirit, even when you have different viewpoints. And what's really interesting is how much of this overlaps with what we were talking about with job interviews.
Oh, that's true.
Active listening, clear communication, being able to articulate your thoughts in a persuasive way. Those are valuable in pretty much any professional setting.
So whether you're trying to land that job, order a coffee in a foreign country, or, contribute to a business meeting, it all comes back to confident and effective communication.
Absolutely. And that's something worth investing in, no matter what your situation is right now.
I totally agree. We'll be back in a moment to explore some additional tips and strategies for boosting your confidence and fluency in English. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking about all these practical English communication skills,
We have.
job interviews, navigating a new country, even those kind of scary business meetings.
Right.
And I think one of the most important takeaways so far is that confidence and clear communication, they really matter more than having perfect grammar, especially when you're speaking English in real life situations.
I think so too.
I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in being afraid of making mistakes.
But the goal is really just to get your message across.
Yeah.
And actually, have you ever noticed that even native English speakers, we mess up grammar all the time?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
But as long as your core message is clear, those little slip-ups, they don't usually get in the way of communication.
So don't let perfect grammar hold you back from speaking, right?
Right.
Practice is important, of course, but don't be afraid to just put yourself out there and use the English that you already know.
I like that. Embracing those imperfections can actually make you sound more relatable and engaging.
That's true.
People appreciate authenticity,
Yeah.
and that shines through when you're not so focused on being grammatically perfect all the time.
That's a good reminder. Thank you. But what about those times when you really just don't know the right word or phrase? What are some ways to deal with those moments?
Well, the source material had some tips for that. One strategy is to just try paraphrasing.
Oh, paraphrasing.
So if you can't think of the exact word, try describing it using other words that you do know.
Okay, so instead of desperately trying to remember the word backpack,
Exactly.
I could say the bag I carry on my back.
Exactly. It might not be the most beautiful way to say it, but it gets your point across.
That's true.
And, don't underestimate the power of gestures or visual aids either. If you're trying to explain something physical, point to it or draw a little diagram.
Well, I've done that
It works.
so many times when traveling, just pointing at things.
It's super effective. And remember, facial expressions and body language, they communicate a lot too, even without words. A smile and a shrug, they can do wonders when you can't find the right phrase.
Sometimes you just got to laugh it off.
Exactly.
But speaking of needing help, is it ever okay to just ask for help when you're stuck?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
In fact, the source material encourages it. If you're really lost, just ask someone to clarify or explain what they mean. Most people are happy to help, especially if they see you're making an effort.
Yeah, it shows you're engaged. You want to learn.
It does.
Okay, so we've talked about embracing those little mistakes, paraphrasing, using gestures, and asking for help. Those are all good strategies for those times when you're not feeling super fluent. But what are some things we can do, proactively, to build our confidence and fluency over time?
One of the best things you can do is just immerse yourself in the language as much as possible.
Right, okay.
That could mean watching movies and TV shows in English,
Okay.
listening to podcasts, reading books and articles.
The classic, surround yourself with English advice.
It works.
It really does. the more you hear and see the language, the more it starts to feel natural.
Exactly. And as you're doing that, pay attention to how native speakers use the language.
Okay.
Notice their pronunciation, their intonation, how they choose their words. The more you observe, the more you'll start to internalize those subtle things that make English sound natural.
So it's not just about passively watching or listening. It's about actively listening and really paying attention. Like noticing how an actor in a movie delivers a line or how a podcast host uses humor.
Exactly. And don't forget about actually practicing speaking English whenever you can, even if it's just with a friend or a family member.
Right.
The more you use it, the more comfortable you'll become.
And that comfort leads to confidence, right?
It does.
It's about knowing that you can handle yourself in different situations, even if you don't have perfect grammar or an endless vocabulary.
Exactly. Confidence is key. And remember, living a language, it's a journey, not a destination. There will always be new words to learn, new grammar rules to figure out, new things to discover. Just enjoy the process, celebrate your progress, and you'll get there.
I love that. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's see about how we can put all of this into action. What's one way you can immerse yourself in English today? Maybe watching an episode of your favorite show without subtitles, or listening to a podcast on a topic you're interested in, or even just striking up a conversation with someone in English.
There are so many possibilities. We'll be right back to finish up our deep dive with a final thought-provoking question that will hopefully leave you feeling inspired and ready to take your English communication skills to that next level.
All right, we're back for the last part of our deep dive into mastering English. For any situation you might find yourself in.
Yeah,
I feel like we've covered so much already.
we have.
Job interviews, traveling to a new country, even those kind of tricky business meetings.
It's been a lot.
It has. But through it all, I think the most important thing we've learned is that confidence and just clear communication, those are really the most valuable tools you can have. They help you bridge those language gaps. They help you make a good impression. And ultimately, I think they help you achieve your goals, whatever your goals are.
I think that's right. It's not just about memorizing every vocabulary word or grammar rule. It's about being able to use the language to connect with people and express yourself.
It's like a tool.
It is.
Yeah, a tool to actually make things happen.
And the source material, it actually asks this really interesting question.
Oh, what's that?
How does knowing that you can handle these situations in English, how does that change what you think you're capable of?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Makes you think about why we even bother learning languages in the first place. It's not just about checking a box. It's about opening up possibilities.
I agree. I think people underestimate how much language can affect how we see ourselves. When you can communicate in English, it can be really powerful.
Yeah. It's like suddenly the world feels bigger. Like you're not limited by not knowing the language.
Right.
You can connect with more people, explore new places, even pursue opportunities that maybe you didn't think were possible before.
Exactly. And that confidence you gain, it can kind of spill over into other parts of your life too.
Oh, interesting.
It might make you want to take more risks or try new things.
I like that.
Yeah, hey, I can handle this.
So as we're wrapping up here, I really want to encourage everyone listening to think about that question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
How does knowing that you can communicate in English, how does that change what you think is possible? What new doors does it open? What dreams does it make you want to go after?
And remember though, becoming fluent, it's a process, it's a journey. There's always going to be more to learn, new things to discover. But just embrace those challenges, celebrate how far you've come, and never stop exploring the power of language.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into English for any situation. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope it's given you some tools to feel more confident and empowered. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.